Yeah, beef broth, you can still hear it crackling in here. What I'm doing right now is browning the bones. Beef broth is an extra step. So, you know, my staple is turkey broth because it's easier and it's delicious and you don't have as much stuff to deal with. So, some people bake the bones in the oven, but I just like to do them in one pot because it's just one less greasy thing to clean and it's enough. It's good enough. They don't get uniformly golden all over, but I can deal with that. I don't need them to be that way. This is fine. I brown them in the pan. You've got some crackly stuff underneath. You know, the meat's been, and this takes a little time. You can't do it too hot. I mean, it's pretty hot, but it's on like a medium heat here, medium to medium low, and it's like this. So, you know, it takes, honestly, this has been going for a good half hour to 40 minutes. I've been just letting these simmer. I walked away, I came back. It's, you know, it's just kind of do this thing, and I think it's about time now, so I thought we'd show you that part. And do it all in one pot, obviously, yay.
So, Nico, can you tell us why we're browning the bones?
Well, there's several things. It adds flavor. It's a traditional thing to do because you get some caramelization built up, and then the pan, the stuff that sticks on the bottom of the pan and whatnot, that deglazes during the cooking of the broth, and it gives the broth more color, flavor, richness, etc. And it just changes the flavor a little bit. I think that's mainly the thing. I don't think there's like a health reason to do it or not do it. And in fact, if you're super sensitive health-wise, I don't brown my bones if my tummy's not happy, because that caramelization is actually not as good for you. Caramelization, as we know, like grilling and all that kind of stuff, browning things is actually adds some negative nutrients. So
negative nutrients?
Yeah,
oh, no.
I know. So it's delicious, but anyways, we're browning up here.
Does the browning maybe help to loosen up some of the marrow?
Oh, it sure does. Those marrow blobs are about to come out now.
Yeah.
So it really definitely does.
And what else are you going to put in it?
So I'm going to do the usual things. Carrot.
Well, is it time for that?
Yeah, time for water and.
Okay.
Yeah. But watch out with the water because there's hot grease in there.
Yeah.
So it's going to spatter. So I thought I'd throw in all the veggies first.
Okay.
And then we'll have some guard for put the water in the grease. We can even turn this off for a minute.
Okay.
So I just quickly.
You want me to do your choppings?
Well, you know, it's such a rough chop. It's fine, babe.
Did you pre-boil this water?
I did not. It doesn't need to be boiled. So I just chop the onion in chunks. Don't even have to do that much, but I do. And then my garlic, I like to...
Come in for the close-up on that.
Nico's patented garlic slice. I take it this way.
The autofocus is so slow on this camera.
And that way you get a lot of garlic exposed in your broth.
Don't let that one go in.
No, you take out anything that looks bad. That one's dry. It's not really moldy or anything, but I'm just gonna get rid of that guy and everything else is good. Celery. I got a bunch of frozen celery here, and I'm gonna use some of this stuff out of my frozen bag. So I've got some parsley stems and some celery butt quarters.
These are all just pieces of vegetable. Yeah, those are the cores of the cabbages that we made the kraut out of.
That's right, some kraut.
This is what we do. This is like, instead of composting our leftovers, we save them and throw them in a pot of next time we make a stock.
Yeah, I would like to compost, but so far we haven't pulled that off with the city rats and critters and whatnot. It's just a lot to manage. Garlic, onion, celery, carrot. We're going to do turmeric, and turmeric does a lot to add color and richness and a base note to your broth, and especially in a beef broth like this. So if you weren't going to brown your bones at all, turmeric certainly will give your broth a nice colorful boost. And ginger, I just like to put turmeric and ginger in my stuff.
And turmeric has got a lot of great healthy qualities to it.
Absolutely. Turmeric is, as we know, it's anti-inflammatory.
Anti-inflammatory.
It's known for. It's just calming things down. You can just smell that earthy, rooty smell.
Yeah, it really is. And we should probably warn you too. Turmeric is very, it'll stain whatever it gets on, so like, don't be surprised if you just have a big orange stain on your cutting board after this.
Even the knife will have to be scrubbed.
And your hands, and the knife. Yeah.
Like that yellow stuff on the knife will have to get scrubbed up.
Oh my god, the autofocus is so slow on this camera. It is still struggling to, okay. Well, wait a minute, everything changed.
Oh my god, you moved the camera?
For this?
Yeah.
Alright.
There we go. Splash guard. We're wearing
that's not too bad.
We're wearing our cute jellyfish shirts for you, and we don't want to get them splashed because they are treasured. Okay, so what else gets added? Some peppercorns.
What flavor water do you want?
Just the green one. You can put it in the sink like that? I'm sorry, I'm outing myself. One of my charming qualities is spilling water. And no matter the circumstance, I somehow find a way. I'm only going to do 1 tablespoon of salt, maybe a heaping one, but I usually do 2 for a full pot. But it's not going to be full, and I don't want it to be too salty. You can always add more later. And then a dash of vinegar goes in there. And this does have a chemical thing. It like pulls some type of minerals out of the bones so that you get more goodness.
And that's apple cider vinegar.
Yes.
Does it have to be apple cider vinegar, or will some other kind of vinegar work?
I have no idea. I've been making broth since Nourishing Traditions back in the 90s, believe it or not. I was already on the broth train back then, so I have always used Bragg's apple cider vinegar, and I do not know what else might work. I suppose if it's just an acidic thing, then you could put any old vinegar in there, but it would change the flavor maybe a little bit if you put white vinegar in. Never tried it.
Why would you want to?
I don't know. So I've referenced Nourishing Traditions. Gosh, I just saw that book the other day.
Yeah.
It's a great book. And then I saw, it's Sally Fallon, Nourishing Traditions, and I saw that Carlton Farms, where we've been ordering some of our delicious bones and the roast we're going to make into stroganoff tomorrow.
They're our bone dealers.
Our bone dealers over at Carlton Farms. They've got the best bones. But I saw in their product list that they have a spin-off book from Sally Fallon's Nourishing Traditions, and it's a Nourishing Traditions Cooking for Kids book for babies and kids. And I want to get that for Rhode for her baby. Yeah, I think she needs it because she's starting to make broth and stuff. So anyways, she already, I remember in Nourishing Traditions, had a baby formula recipe for if you couldn't nurse and you didn't want to use soy or commercial formula. She had an amazing formula recipe, but now she's got a whole book on it. So anyways, I can go find the book if you think it's relevant.
I think the name of the book and the author is probably enough.
All right. Anyways, she taught me how to make broth. Well, actually, my mom taught me how to make broth, but Sally's book encouraged me way back when. On this long, long journey of healing inflammatory bowel disease. Aww. Happy belly. So that's everything that goes in, and then we're just going to turn on the heat and bring it up to pressure and give it about 2 hours and then turn it off.
Right. Now, how long would this take you if you didn't have a pressure washer and you just wanted to simmer it? I'm asking you the questions that I think that people that are watching might have.
I know, but we're borrowing a pressure washer tomorrow from some friends, so Scott just accidentally said pressure washer instead of pressure cooker. That's why I'm laughing.
Oh!
So if you weren't going to put it in the pressure
By the
cooker...
way, don't use a pressure washer.
It's not going to work. It's going to be bad. Without a lovely pressure cooker, you're going to be smelling your broth simmering till tomorrow. They say 12 to 24 hours. So...
Okay, so you really save a lot of time with the pressure.
You really save a lot of time.
Pressure cooker.
The pressure cooker, yeah. And of course you save a lot of gas because keeping your stove on for that long uses resources. So it actually is, obviously if you were going to be on some kind of a measured gas, like on a tank or something, then you would really need a pressure cooker because there's no way you do so much gas to keep it going that long. You can also do what I've heard in a slow cooker, a crock pot. People have done it in a crock pot, but there just is no crock pot big enough for me to make broth in. Like, that's a waste. all that time smelling your broth, and then you only get like a quart and a half. So,
why don't you tell everybody what we're making this broth for?
So tomorrow we're going to make a stroganoff with some of the lovely beef roast that I got from Carlton Farms, and I finally got some shiitakes. My sweet brother CL went to the farmer's market a couple days ago, and I was like, I only really can't get a few things other places. Get me a pound of shiitakes. So we did. So we've got mushrooms now, and we've got the meat, and now we're going to have the broth, so tomorrow we can make up a lovely stew.
And we'll have to videotape that as well.
Yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow when we make stroganoff. Is to get the lid on the pressure cooker, which
you just gotta make sure it's really seated on there right, and I always look to make sure that the seam is straight, because this one time it wasn't, and it was disastrous. No.
It wasn't disastrous,
Wasn't
but
disastrous,
it started to leak, and we were like, turn it off. And then you gotta crank it down tight, and I can crank it down tight enough myself, but I'd rather let him do it if he's here.
Okay, so what time is it? 6:39. Well, you start timing it after it starts releasing the steam, right? So the time doesn't actually start yet. Or does it?
You could do it 2 hours from now, knowing that it usually takes about a half an hour to get up to steam, and an hour and a half is the slowest, the least amount under pressure. But then it's going to take another half hour once you shut it off to release it back down. So it ends up being about 2.5 hours of a total cycle, and you get approximately 2 hours of pressure in that time.
So we'll be taking the lid off about 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, yeah.
And then we, then you take a pot and a strainer, and you just run everything through the strainer. You don't, then all the solid stuff gets tossed, and the liquid is your gold.
Right, so occasionally I mine some dog treats out of it, like this beef. There might be some globs of marrow or something that I give them out of it, but this isn't a really meaty bone thing, so there's not going to be really any meat to harvest off of here. When we do turkey, we get some turkey meat off the wings for the dogs, but otherwise, afterwards.
Yeah.
But otherwise, just toss it all in the trash. Don't even worry about it.
It's used up.
It's used up. We squeezed all the goodness out.
Still blazing hot, but there's no steam coming out anymore. I'm going to, you could hear a little bit coming out when I lifted up the pressure thing, but that, if you can, they're all different, but ours you just lift up on, no steam's coming out, that means it's safe to take the lid off. That smells good. It's going to be good. Next, you just get another big pot. Come with her. And carefully and slowly pour the broth. Oh, look at that nice golden color. That's from turmeric. Not quite sure we're pronouncing that right. Turmeric or turmeric? How do you guys pronounce it? Now, I usually like to let that cool off for as long as possible before putting it in the fridge, because I broke a fridge once. I did, man. It was stopped working right, and then we had the guy come in to fix it, and he was like, oh yeah, well, you threw the thermostat off by putting a big hot thing in there. So something that big that has that much thermal mass, that's that warm, I guess it's just a shock to some refrigerators' thermostats, then they can't handle it. So be careful what you do with your hot soup. I usually just kind of let it chill on the stove for a while, and then I've got like a better fridge down in my basement that's actually like a I don't know, 18-20-year-old fridge, but it's ugly and it's rusty and stuff, but it works way better than all the, like, you know, newfangled fridges. And here is the final product. Delicious, nutritious, super dense and rich, lovely beef bone broth.